Hey there guys, what's up? This is Captain J back with another video. So before we get started, I just want to give a very quick disclaimer. Of course, first and foremost, the music doesn't belong to me, and if I happen to mention any products at all, just know that this video is not sponsored unless I actually happen to mention who will be sponsoring the video. Without taking any more of your time, let's get right into it. Alright, so before we start, I just want to give a little bit of an update of what has been going on. About a month ago, I've got a request or a question about how could people go about getting out of the map with Arthur Morgan and down to Guarma before the actual storyline took you there, and also if it was even possible to take your horse. So this is one of the hardest challenges that I have had to endure for the last almost 3 weeks, I want to say. And although I have not been on it every single day for hours on end, I have been going at it for, I want to say, maybe 48 to 70 some hours. And the reason for this is because I've been just kind of searching for different ways of getting out of the map, and I have found a lot of ways that is very, very possible. Also, finding horses out of the map, knowing exactly what you need, how far you need to be off the map, and how you can go about getting all the way to Guarma, and once you get there, how to get back. And of course, all of this, like I said, just took me hours and hours to figure out, and I have finally been able to find a way to do so. So before you make this journey, what I wanted to do is pretty much show you and tell you what you need and how you go about doing so. Of course, my story or storyline completion per se, it's somewhere around the 30% mark. I believe the story is 11, but total progress is around 30-some%. So this is very possible to do right at the beginning of chapter 2 once you get off the mountain. So like I said, it is 100% possible. I didn't think it was, but it is, and I never tried it before, and once I did, I've just kept hitting these roadblocks one after another. And one of the hardest things that I had to endure and try to do for about well over 48 hours was trying to get my horse across the river. So I've got different paths and different ways that I can show you of how to go about getting out of the map. Like I said, I'm going to go into pretty specific details of what not to do and where not to go. I've gone as far as going into my pretty much 100% completed storyline and used John Marston to try to do the thing that is basically impossible to do with Arthur Morgan, and I've confirmed that it's not possible to do. So I'm sorry to take about almost 3 minutes to explain all of this, but trust me, this is going to take you a while and it's going to be difficult, so I just hope you pay attention. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with the very first part. Alright, so before you feel discouraged to follow the video, what I'm going to do is just show you the end results. This is me in Guarma. This is me as Arthur. Here is my total completed story. There is the save, which is somewhere around 30%, and as I said, this is Arthur Morgan, but it is a temporary horse. That's one. Two, I have not gotten here as of yet through the storyline. Also, the very first thing that I wanted to do is show video proof of me actually being here in Guarma with Arthur Morgan before the storyline gets you here, before he gets tuberculosis, and so that way you feel a lot more comfortable and reassured that it is 100% possible to be here with Arthur. Now you can skip what not to do and where not to go, and I put that on the screen so you can skip to where exactly it is that you can go ahead and start going to Guarma. So starting on things that I have already done and I have already checked off the list, the best, easiest way to try to get your horse across the river is obviously on the top right of the map over up on or in Amnesburg. Now, I did this for about 5 or 6 hours straight, trying to do a lot of different ways, or trying to do it a lot of different ways. So what I happen to do is just leave my horse over on this general area. This happens to be one of the best areas to leave the horse, so that way he'll cross the river. Now, I've come across several instances where I just barely make it across, and the horse happens to actually cross the river, and he ends up on the other side. The problem is that I can't physically get there. I've tried several different ways, and maybe it's just because I'm doing it wrong, but every time that I've tried to cross the river, I end up dying. Now, there's different ways that you can get on the other side or out of the map, and here's one of the best locations that I found where it is very simple to do. Of course, just like always, all that it requires is for you to get some alcohol, start drinking it, pass out, and then eventually you'll end up outside of the map. This can be a little tedious, and it could take you maybe 1 or 2 tries. So what I suggest doing is saving before you actually do this, and then reload if it doesn't work the first time. Note, I had already used all of my moonshine, which is actually a faster way of getting drunk, so it took me a lot more alcohol than I wanted to, but I still got drunk anyway. So right before he passes out, what you want to do is, just as the camera is starting to fade out, have him run straight up the hill and he will not slide, and then that way you have a higher percentage of a chance of you not ending on the bottom or under, or a better chance of just being able to spawn on the other side or out of the map. I've just found this to be a lot easier, faster, quicker, and a lot better results when I tend to do this right before the camera fades out. Like I said, as you can see right here, I am literally outside of the map now. Right before it faded, I just started running up the hill. Alright, so this is basically the general area where we need to be at, or where we need to go. The reason is because we need to get a temporary horse. So I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward the video, so that way we can get a lot quicker there, or get there a lot quicker than it would normally take us. Keep in mind, of course, you want to make sure that you have some cocaine gum, or just somewhere that will help you run for a lot longer, like your stamina bar, and then of course have a little food just in case. Don't worry about the bears or animals or anything like that out here, because everything is literally like stationary. Nothing is actually able to move. So once we get to the location that I just pointed out, one of the reasons, or the reason why we need to get here, of course, is because of the temporary horses. Now, keep in mind, they don't spawn all the time. It took me somewhere around an hour or so to be able to spawn a horse, and even then, it was really hard to actually find one. So I just want to give you a heads up that this can be really tedious to find a horse somewhere around this area. Just don't give up. Once you see moose, elk, and just regular white-tailed deer spawn somewhere around this area, then you know you're actually in a good location, because as far as I know, and of what I've researched, they use somewhat of the same spawning model within the game. So if you're getting those, then you're really close on getting a horse. So don't give up, keep trying, and eventually you will find one, just somewhere around this general location, this general area as to where I'm at. So once you find one, you are, of course, going to have to break it in. That is very obvious. They are wild horses, and once you find a spot where they spawn, you can just basically climb aboard one and break it in. Be careful though, because you are pretty close to the edge of the map. It's going to take you quite a minute, and you might have the chance of sliding back into the map. So anyway, this is where we're at right now. This is our general location, or this is our spot as to where we are at, and we need to travel all the way to the very end of the map to where the river is. And of course, with the power of editing, I can get there in about 5 seconds, which would normally take me about 10 minutes to get there. So once we get to the edge of the water, here is one thing that I want to make you aware of. Though it is a very simple, fast, straight through direction to get there, once you do, you can try to cross the river. The problem is that once you get to the middle of the water, you will die. The horse will not travel through the middle of the river. There is an invisible wall in the very middle of the river that you cannot and will not be able to pass through. I will tell you this exactly how it is. I've done it several different times, and it is literally impossible to try to swim through the middle of this river. You cannot do it. I've tried in several different spots, and you are literally not able to swim across. So the next thing that I found that you can do is go all the way up north. And even if you go all the way up north to the most northern part of the river, there is still an issue. There is a very, very, very noticeable difference in the texture. Obviously, the left part where you're standing and the right part where you would want to go are different in texture and in what it's called collision detection. What do I mean by this? If you try to go to the left side, you're literally going to fall through the map. If you stay on the right, you'll get into the water and you can get pretty far, but you'll only get so far. There's a water, of course, on the left side, which you can swim on. It is possible. It is 100% possible. The problem is that you will only get so far before the horse literally pushes you off its back. So right here is the water, all right? And because there's a little bit of a different in texture, you somewhat have an issue. Now, like I said, I've traveled through the left part, the part that has I want to say collision detection, and then the right part which does not. Now I found you can fall through the map and just keep falling through the map, but eventually you will drown. Now I've tried this several different ways, but no matter what, you end up dying. There's literally nothing you can do to cross this river, and I've tried this for hours and hours on end to no avail. So there's literally no way of crossing this river on the most northern part of the map, as far as I know, and as much as I have tried to do so, I have not been able to do so. So after finally being able to come out of the falling loop in the water, I am now on dry land, and I try to call my horse, but you can see how difficult it is to be able to actually get him to where I need him to be. So anyway, what I ended up doing is going back to the most northern part of the lake or this river, and where it literally begins. What I ended up doing is just riding my horse, getting on his back, and then trying to go through the middle of the river. As I said, you can only get so far before the horse drops you off. Now, in this specific clip, I ended up making it to the middle where the tree is. The interesting part of this is that there is a small quote-unquote island or patch of land where I thought maybe it would be solid. Well, it happened not to be solid. And what ended up happening is that I just ended up falling through the map continuously for about 2 hours. Yeah, I was not able to get anywhere at all, and even though I was able to cross the river, I technically couldn't because there was no collision. I was not able to stand on anything at all whatsoever. So what happened is that after falling for so long and such a long time, what I ended up doing is that I just died. That's all that happened. I died. So, as I said, there is literally just no way of crossing the river and being able to go around. Somebody else have had another video, I didn't see it, and they might have been able to find a way around it. I just didn't. So, anyway, now let's get to the part where we actually do get to cross to the other side and get to Guarma. So, here we are. Now, this is after actually I returned from Guarma. This is the location where I'm at. This is the route that I took all the way straight down this way. Actually outside of the map though, and I ended up going all the way around and ended up going to Guarma. Now, how did I do this? And how can I prove that I was already in Guarma after, you know, what I just showed? One way that I can show you is if I go to my progress, alright, and obviously you can see the total completion of the story. I haven't really done much on anything at all, so I want to go into the animals, and on here I'll change, let me change the pages, and I'll find the 2 birds that are most commonly found in Guarma. Those 2 happen to be the macaw, I believe it's called. Let me find it real quick. This one right here. This bird and this one. These 2 are most commonly found in Guarma, both of them. Alright, open it up. Here you go. You can read all about, you know, where it's found, and you can see the picture image of it, and that I've caught one or killed one or, you know, plucked one, whatever. And it says that it is most commonly found in Guarma. Here's the other. Same thing. Very commonly found in Guarma. And as I said, those are the 2 birds that are most commonly found there. So this is after I've come back from Guarma. So this is after I did the trip there and back, and of course I used some alcohol. Now as I said earlier, I am out of moonshine, so I don't have any moonshine, but I have other type of alcohol. So there's 2 places where you can get out of the map. That would be this area right here and a cave found over here. So there's these 2 locations where you can get outside of the map. With both of them, you are going to need alcohol, so you have the choice of going to the cave or the other. These 2 areas that I'm marking right now are where you can find horses outside of the map. So pick your poison. Which one do you want to do? Do you want to do the cave or you want to do this spot here? Now I'm doing the spot closest to me, and the reason is because 1, I'm literally a couple of steps away from the horse, or the horse is the spawn outside of the area, and 2, it is the closest to me. But it is or can be a little bit more difficult to get out of the map. So it took me actually 2 tries to be able to get out of the map in this location, and in the cave it's only going to take you 1. So there is sort of a scale, you know, one is better than the other in a certain way. You don't have to run as far or as much to get a horse, but it might take you 2 tries and more alcohol to be able to spawn outside of the map. Alright, and here we are after the second attempt of getting drunk and then waking up after, you know, passing out. So, here we are outside of the map now. There is a couple of horses that are somewhat close by, so now we gotta go find them. This might take you a little while. You might have to, you know, somewhat walk around this general area to be able to find them. It was a very fast spawn. It didn't really take me long, but like I said, just be aware you might have to double back once or twice. Luckily, the very first time that I actually happened to run back, they did spawn, so I found about 3 horses, I believe, 2 Tennessee Walkers, and I believe the other one was a Mustang. So I just ended up taking the Mustang and I ended up breaking it in. So it was very fast, very quick, and they were somewhat stuck together in when they first spawned, and you can see that right here. Let me double back to the ones on the left right there, and you can see that they're somewhat stuck together, and then they just kind of get unstuck, I guess, magically. So what I ended up doing is just taking one of them, breaking it in, and running it down south. Well, southwest actually. I want to head down southwest over on this general location. Now, here is a tip that I'm going to tell you to please follow and please do as I say. Please do this. Stay away from New Austin. Try to stay away as far as I can, or as far as you can. The main reason is because on the outside of New Austin, there are, I guess what would be called somewhat hill lines that you would typically find on a map. Once you get really close to the hills or the little lines on the side of the map, there is an invisible sniper that will kill you. Yes, he will kill you. There is a sniper that is going to definitely kill you. Such as, if you've ever tried to leave Guarma and you've heard or seen about the invisible sniper, yeah, that's the exact same thing that happens. And I will show you this in just a second. Alright, so here is where I started slowly heading down south. You can see these map lines. These are the lines that I was talking about. So once you get really close to some of these lines, or pretty close to the map, you will see Arthur sometimes duck his head. That means that he's being shot at. Even though you can't hear it, he is being shot at. There are several instances where you'll see this happening once you're somewhat close to the map. But right about in this area, and I will see if I can turn the volume up here in just a second. I'll turn it up so you can hear the shots being fired. So yeah, you can hear about 3 different shots being fired. One of them in the very beginning, which I repeated, and then maybe one or two throughout. But then when I just kept going and tried to get some more shots, what ended up happening is that somehow, some way, I was killed. So yeah, this is why I say to be really careful, because this can definitely happen. It's happened to me about 2 or 3 different times. So this is the main reason why I said please be careful when you're going around the map. So now, the best, easiest, and most useful help or guide that I can give you is just stay away as far as possible from the main map. I know you can see somewhat of the hills, and of course the sort of the map hills on the screen when you're riding it. It's pretty easy to see them. So as you can see, I'm very, very far away from the map, and Guarma map is just about to spawn. I literally went all the way to the most left of the map, and then straight down south, and then straight to the right. That's literally all I did, and I just avoided all of the snipers, and I'm literally south of New Austin, and there's the marker right here where I'm at. This area, this is all I followed. So here you can see in just a second the map is going to change on the bottom left. There it is. Guarma just spawned out of nowhere. That's just how it is. It's basically like the same way, but the previous videos that I've shown, I actually ended up on the northern part of the map, which is somewhere right around the top left of the Guarma map. That's usually where I end up. So I'm ending up a little bit more on the south side, which that's completely fine. Now what I gotta do is ride up north to get to the water peak, and where the water meets on that on the tip on the top left of the map, of the water map. That's where it gets to. And so this is somewhat very simple to do. It's honestly very, very easy. I can't believe it took me about 3 to 4 days straight trying to find a way of doing it, going the opposite way when I should have just gone down. But of course, I found that I was being shot at, so that's why it took me a little longer, just to say, okay, well, maybe I should just stay away from where I'm being shot at. And Lord and behold, it happened. So here, I'm going to cut to another clip real quick. Okay, so this right here is a very iconic hilltop for me. The reason is because I have shown this hilltop quite of several different times in one of my videos. On the bottom left where I was just showing it, or the direction where I was just showing, I've showed that specific location several times in my videos to show people that you are heading on the right way. And that, or this is the hilltop that I've said, okay, so if you're here, then you know you're heading on the right direction. So like I said, this is an iconic hill for me. So now I'm gonna start heading the usual direction to where I usually head, which is straight over what is southeast. This is when I start heading southeast, and I start getting close to the Guarma map. Alright, so this is also a very iconic invisible hill. I've showed this several different times as well on my videos. I say once you're running on the edge of the map between the low poly and of course the full resolution side of the map, and then you get to the invisible hill, and then you just happen to walk across, which is this spot right here in Guarma. Once you happen to start heading south, just a tiny little bit, and I do mean a tiny little bit, you'll start walking straight down south, you'll see the map change like so. This is one of the reasons why I say it's so iconic, because I've done this transition several different times on my videos. I walk from the main map to Guarma map to the main map to Guarma map quite several different times, so you can see the change physically. You know that this is not somewhat of an alter video. Every single time that I either stream or make a video about this, I always show these locations so you can see the exact transition that always happens every single time in these locations, so that way you know the video is legit. And then of course we get to basically the end of the video, which is really not. This is just the very first part of the video that I showed to show you that this was absolutely possible. Don't worry, I still got a little bit more to show you. I know it's getting into a really long video, which is about 30 some minutes long, but still this shows one, that it's absolutely possible with Arthur Morgan. Before the story line gets you here, he doesn't have tuberculosis. It's somewhere around chapter 2. You cannot take your actual horse to here yet you can get a temporary horse, which you can find outside of the map. If anybody finds or has a way of getting on the other side with your horse, I'm always willing to hear, but personally I haven't found one. So the other thing is that I've got somewhat of bonus clips that I want to show you if you want to stick around. I've got pretty like really nice locations that I've explored. So if you hear me out, because you're not wanted yet, you can actually explore Guarma all you want. You can explore locations that otherwise would be impossible to reach, because you'd be either shot at, killed, and you would not be able to explore anywhere. But because you're not being wanted yet, nobody's trying to kill you, you can literally walk around like any other NPC and explore all of the map. That is one of the coolest things that I found that you could do with Arthur Morgan, because you can't do it with John Marston. There might be a way of doing it if you kind of do a glitch, but if you actually do it with Arthur Morgan and have a save here in Guarma, you can do it anytime you want. So that is really cool, and that is one of the best things that I found personally that you can do here. So let's go ahead and explore some of these places so you can kind of take a look of the stuff that you can see while you are exploring Guarma. Alright, so I've turned the music off of the video, and here is where I'm at as of right now. So I'm still down on the beach, and the somewhat of a grayish circle is usually where it'll be red, where you're being wanted. This is usually the spot somewhere around where you actually get shot by the invisible sniper, and you kind of get somewhat into this area by just kind of walking around. But if you try to get too far or too into somewhere else, you'll get shot at. So let's go explore into this sort of a mansion that is up here. Now usually when you try to head over this location, you will be shot at. I haven't exactly tried it during the actual storyline. When you're actually in Guarma, I haven't exactly tried it, but I'm pretty sure you do. And once you get down here with John Marston, you get killed. You can't come up here. So nobody is shooting at you. Nobody's trying to shoot you. Nobody's trying to ask you, you know, what the hell are you doing up here in these plantations? Nothing. I've actually talked to people. I've said, hey, what's going on? And they'll just say like, hola, and you know, like, como está, you know, whatever. There's different dialogues that they have, and I was like, am I gonna be shot at? And I was really surprised at first. I was kind of optimistic, and I was like, okay, what's going on? Alright, so let me go talk to this guy. Will he say anything? And I just kind of greeted him and he answered back. So I was completely shocked at this point and happy to be able to, you know, just walk around. And then at the end, what I just decided to do is I said, okay, here's a, you know, somewhat of a collapsed wall. Can I jump over top or climb it? Yes, I can. So I was like, let's go all in. Let's just go ahead and go in. If I get murdered, I get murdered. And should I sneak around? Am I going to be able to sneak around? Are they going to do anything? Will they notice me? That kind of thrill. I was like, this is exciting. This is really, really cool. And I just started exploring. All of it. All around. Nobody tried to shoot me. Nobody tried to kill me. I wasn't being aimed at by an invisible sniper. And there's a couple of things that you can pick up here. Of course, during the story mode you can still do it, but you're not supposed to be here. This isn't part of the story yet. This is completely out of the norm, and yet you can still do some of these things. You can still explore here. And I was psyched. So there's no words to explain how happy I was to be able to realize that I could be here exploring without a care in the world, without anybody even trying to shoot me, without being killed, obviously. So I explored all throughout. I went in and out of different buildings. I had a little fun just exploring everything. And you know, you can do the same. It took quite a while. I'm not gonna lie that it took quite a long time to get all the way down in here in Guarma and to be able to explore this location, but I was very happy to do so. I'm overwhelmed and thrilled, absolutely, that I could be down here. So let's go and explore another little location and have a little more fun while we're here. So here is another little location that you can explore. Of course, you can explore all of Guarma, absolutely every single part of it, but right over here is one of the places where you actually have a shootout with I guess it would be the guards of the drug lord who's down here. But this church, or leftovers of the church, whatever you want to call it, this place is where you have a shootout, and it's one of the places where you are trying to escape right on one of the, like, the very end of the chapter when you're here in Guarma. I believe you have a big shootout, and it takes you a while because there's so many guards and stuff, and you're not really able to explore everything. But like I said, it's a place that is very, very nice and cool to be able to explore without any worry in the world at all. So yeah, definitely really, really cool places to check out while you want to explore down here in Guarma. And of course, there's some of the animals that you can kill and skin, and birds you can pluck and all that before you even get here. So absolutely worth it, and it is absolutely 100% possible to do. And what's the exciting part is that you can take a horse. I know it's a temporary horse, but you can still take a horse. You're still able to ride the horse. You're still able to somewhat run around here on that horse. Now, a pretty curious thing. I know there's a donkey here, but if you happen to make a save and you load up the game, your temporary horse will not be here. Yet you can ride the donkey out of Guarma. I know a donkey isn't the greatest animal that you can ride, nor the fastest, but it's a lot faster than having to run, and you will save some provisions. And tunics or tonics, I guess you could call them. So you don't have to spend any of those, or you don't have to use any of them at all. So these are some cool little spots that you can check out, and of course you can check out the whole island if you want to without a care in the world. So it is going into a 40-minute video, and it is a very long explanation, and I've talked so much in the video, and I know you guys are pretty tired of hearing me talk so much. So what I'm gonna do is just end the video here, and I just want to thank every single one of you that has taken the time to watch the video, watch the bonus clips, and just watch me go through this whole process and try to explain everything and give you as much information as you're ever going to need just to be able to get down here to Guarma with Arthur. So before I leave, one very last thing that I do want to let you guys know or say to you. You can follow the steps back to try to get back to the map. Go around the same exact way. Try not to get shot. Go around the map as far as you can. And like I said, just backtrack the way you came so you're able to get back to the main map. Now, once you get back to the main map, try to get to the location where I was, somewhere where the trapper is. It is one of the safest ways that you can get back to the main map. So anyway, thank you guys so very much for watching. This was Captain J, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.